All right, folks, let's grab our seats, please, so we can get underway. You all should have an annual report and a ballot. Ushers are coming around with both. At this time, we will appoint Anita Lisk as our secretary for council and Wilson Trice as our parliamentarian. Mr. Parliamentarian, did we have a quorum, or do we have a quorum?
Mr. Chairman, when the meeting was convened at 10:20 a.m., a quorum was present.
No comment. Do I hear, you have the agenda before you on the inside page of your annual report, the agenda for this morning's meeting. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda? Is there a second? Is there discussion? Then let's call the question. All in favor of adopting the agenda as set before you, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? Thank you. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Those are on the pages that immediately follow your agenda. So take a moment to look those over. I'd like to have a motion, I'd like to entertain a motion to waive the reading of the minutes. So moved. Is there a second? All in favor of waiving the reading of the minutes, please say aye. Aye. We have to vote to adopt them now, or is that it? I move to adopt the minutes as so given in your report. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Fabulous. And my thanks to our secretary, Anita Lisk, for the great job she does every year at giving us quite a bit of detail about our previous year's meeting. Thank you, Anita. Nominating committee report, I'll turn it over to our senior warden, Geoff Sisk.
Good morning. I hope everyone has received a copy of the nominating committee, which is the orange, and given it to your ushers. If you haven't, raise your hand or... Oh, so everybody has.
They're coming around. Although it is tradition at St. James's for more than 20 years to introduce a slate for vestry members for election, it is the in canon law that every slate must actually have a paper election in the diocese, hence the reason for the ballots.
I'll read off the names of the nominees while you all are...
Ask them to stand. Ask them to stand.
And I would ask the nominees to stand if they are here. Louise Ball, Kathy Hetzer, Dave Johnson, Ralph Cummins, Aaron Jewett, and Beth Skidmore.
Are there any nominations from the floor? Is there a move to close nominations? Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye. Nominations are closed. You have the slate before you. My thanks to the nominating committee, who does an amazing job every year. They are members of the parish from across the spectrum of our parish life who gather together. And how many names did you receive this year, Geoff?
We received over 65 names, so a great group of folks, and we're very excited about the slate of newcomers.
And the wonderful thing, and I say this every year, I've never seen another parish like this, but in my 15 years at St. James's, you know, we elect, 6 new vestry members every single year. And so in those 15 years, though, we've only had one person serve on the vestry twice in those 16 years. So every year, except for one person, we have elected a brand new slate of folks who have never served. So my thanks to everyone for your willingness to serve at leadership here at St. James's. It speaks volumes about the wealth of talent and the willingness to give of people in the parish. So after you've filled out your ballot, please pass it to the end of your rows, to the inside ends of your rows, and the ushers will pick those up. Next, we'll move right along into our endowment fund report from Ida Fahrenholt.
Good morning. The St. James's Endowment is a separate entity from the church that is managed by a board of 10 trustees, 3 of whom are ex officio, the rector and the wardens, and 1 of whom is elected to the board for a limited term by the vestry, and that's me. The remaining 6 members are elected by the board for 6-year terms, which may be consecutive. Each trustee must have served on the vestry as a qualification for the election to the board. The Endowments Charter is a broad one, to contribute to the work of the church and to contribute to the maintenance and preservation of the church's buildings and grounds. At year-end 2015, the endowment stood at over $6.5 million. Despite headwinds in the markets with which you are familiar, our market value suffered a loss of less than 0.5%, and thanks to the work of our investment advisor, Davenport & Company, we outperformed the markets across the board in all of the segments in which we are invested. We received and are grateful for an additional $115,000 in new gifts in 2015, including residual gifts from the Cornerstone campaign. As we preach continually, the future of our church depends upon a strong endowment. We are encouraged that more and more of our parishioners are heeding the call to make planned gifts to our endowment, which will bear fruit down the road. In the materials contained in your annual report, you will see that the endowment has contributed nearly $5.5 million to and on behalf of the church since it began to distribute funds in 1967. For several years, we have been guided by a spending policy that directs us to contribute annually roughly 4% of the 3-year average value of the endowment for charitable goals related to the church. Our spending rate in 2015 was somewhat north of that 4% figure, but that's okay since we are doing good things for our church with that money. Like any endowment, we exist to support the institution in ways that the operating budget cannot. In 2015, we expended over $250,000 in the following areas. Parking, $18,000 for Sunday parking rental of space in 1 Monument Avenue deck. While not reflected in the numbers due to timing issues, over $15,000 a year is also expended to maintain the Franklin Street parking deck. Facilities, HVAC maintenance contracts for physical plant, $61,000. Masonry work on the church building, $16,396.75. Personal enhancements, salary contribution for Director of Stewardship and Development, $35,000. Sabbaticals, $22,500. Outreach and mission, Westminster Canterbury Fellowship Fund, $12,500. Yale Divinity School, $5,000. Virginia Seminary Chapel, $10,000 of a 5-year, $50,000 gift, not shown due to the timing of a bookkeeping entry. Choir trip, $60,000. Rector's discretionary fund, $20,000. We anticipate that our spending in 2016 will continue apace along these traditional lines in spite of the bullish predictions for growth in the value of investment funds. You have heard from the treasurer that the church's budget will be essentially flat this year. While the endowment is reluctant to fund church operating expenses on an ongoing basis, the endowment has agreed to step in and assist the church on a temporary basis to address important staffing needs that will ensure the continued excellence of our music program, efficiencies and growth of our financial resources, and the wise maintenance and use of our facilities. If they are here, I would like to ask the trustees of the endowment stand and be recognized. Massey Valentine, Berno Hamilton, Lila Ukrop, Randy, Geoff Sisk, Helen Kemp, Matt Harper, John Molster, Wilson Trice, and that's it, and me. And this concludes my report. And if you have any questions, we'll direct that to Wilson and Massey.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you.
My apologies that the annual report is not paginated. There are no page numbers, but your endowment report is at the very back, about 3 or 4 or 5 pages in. Thank you, Ida, and our thanks to the endowment for their continued wonderful support of the parish. And I hope all of you, if you have not, will consider a gift either in your will or in some other way to the endowment of St. James's for the long-term benefit of our parish family. I'm going to turn it over to our finance chair, Harry Moore, to talk about our finances in 2015 and our budget, which you should have as an insert in your annual report for 2016. Does everyone have that insert floating in their annual report? I hope so.
I'm Harry Moore, Chair of the Finance Committee of the Vestry. I'd like to recognize Wilson Craigie. Please stand up, Wilson. Jay Jordan. Our wonderful treasurers, volunteers, Ann Rawls, and Kathy Hoffman. Are you guys here? Maybe not. Wilson's in the back. Thank you very much for their service. If you don't remember anything else from my remarks this morning, I want you to remember that St. James's Church is on sound financial footing and that your money is being used very wisely and prudently. This morning I want to address three things with you. First, the 2015 year just closed in December. During 2015, we fell short of our revenue goal by about $49,000. Fortunately, this was offset by also having a shortfall in expenses, leaving a surplus of just over $35,000 going into 2016. An important consideration to remember going forward is that our stewardship season begins with the feast now, which gives us several months to prayerfully consider our pledges for the next year before our budget is finalized each December. 2015 was the first year of this new pledge season, and it resulted in a 3% increase overall in pledges. Second, our budget for 2016 will increase by 4% over 2015. For the first time in our church's history, our total budget will exceed $2.4 million, virtually entirely attributable to the generosity of our parishioners. Along with a larger budget comes greater responsibility to spend money wisely. Your vestries carefully considered every request in every expense category and allocated the budget to best meet the needs of the parish, both inside the walls and out. We've increased funding for youth and adult ministries. We've acknowledged the increases that we expect in the ongoing maintenance and upkeep of our wonderful facilities. We've provided for increases in non-clergy personnel by expanding 2 positions from part-time to full-time. We provided for a part-time assistant in the Office of Stewardship and Development. We've maintained our mission and outreach budget as well as our music budget. Finally, we'll operate on a balanced budget, carefully managing expenses against revenue. Last, I want to give you a glimpse into our not-too-distant future. There's some warning clouds on the horizon that we need to recognize and must address at some point. As wondrous as our facility is, there are some maintenance needs that are completely hidden from view, like electrical panels, like air conditioning equipment. Some of these are over 50 years old and they'll need to soon be replaced. Our steeple's leaking and is in need of repairs. These maintenance issues exceed our capital maintenance reserve budget and will require careful planning. The vestry will be dealing with these major maintenance requirements and determining how and when to make these repairs. Finally, this year, our committee has dedicated its efforts to close supervision of the church financials. We conducted a search for a new external audit CPA firm, and after carefully considering 4 CPA firms, we decided to retain our current incumbent firm, Harris, Hardy, and Johnstone. We've also adopted a policy to conduct an external audit review every 4 years, looking at alternative sources of external audits as a best practices means of assuring that our finances are in order. Complete financial statements are always available for your review in the church office. In summary, I'd like to express what a wonderful experience it's been to serve in the role of finance chair this past year. We've got a strong, committed group in the finance committee, and I would be completely remiss if I didn't acknowledge the faithful, loyal efforts of our financial secretary, Pekana Thiel. Our financials are always available for review. Please see me or any vestry member or stop by the church office at your convenience. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. If you have any questions for Harry, he will be around at the conclusion of the meeting, so please don't hesitate. My mic falls off. Now we'll turn it over to our wonderful, long-suffering junior warden, Matt Harper. Thank you, Matt, so much. Come on up here. Toughest job in the church.
Thank you, Randy. I don't think I've ever
You're welcome.
Yes. I don't think I've ever been introduced quite that way, but I greatly appreciate it. Well, good morning, everyone. If I could draw your attention to the annual report, and specifically to the Junior Warden's report, and since the pages aren't numbered, let's do this sort of the old-fashioned way. Open it right at the middle, right at the staple, and then turn over 2 pages toward the back, and there it is. So, I'll be minimally redundant over what is in that report, as you can read it now or at your leisure in the future. But, you know, at a very high level, what's it all about when we talk about the junior warden and responsibilities? Well, primarily maintaining our building and grounds, providing a safe and secure place to worship and hold related and other activities, being environmentally responsible. Our Stewards of the Earth Committee, which was formed last year, has been doing a great job. And I would note, speaking of the annual report, in there you will see that for composting, and this is only part of the year of 2015, meaning from May through December, we as a congregation and all of the parishioners contributed toward composting 1.1 tons of material. So that is absolutely awesome. Also, it's noted in the report that we replaced 7 light bulbs that illuminate the steeple and that illuminate our surface parking lot. And that in and of itself would seem quite underwhelming. However, I would point out that as a result of replacing those 7 light bulbs, that by the way are brighter than the bulbs that were there before, we are saving 11,000 kilowatt hours per year from those 7 bulbs. And that is causing 15,000 pounds per year of greenhouse gases, carbon emissions, and so on, not to be produced. So as we think about the 11,000 kilowatt hours, that's enough electricity to power, for example, a 4,000 square foot house for almost 6 months. This is just unbelievable. So they are pretty bright, I will admit that. And we've also at the same time reduced our electric bill as a result of those 7 bulbs by $950 a year. So anyway, enough of that. Yeah, why not? Harry has already mentioned in 2016 a couple of significant items. He mentioned 3, but our air conditioning chiller, one of the chillers, actually the one that cools the sanctuary, the Gibson building, and the parish house is on the way out. The average life of a chiller that size is 17 years. We're about 21 years into it. It's showing signs. It's going to go. We're hanging on, okay? Because we don't want to go replace this until we really need to. We're talking well into 6 figures to do that. The steeple is very structurally sound. Very structurally sound, but it is leaking. It's got a few other issues. But it's 104, 105 years old. So we give it credit for that. And the structural engineering, or the engineering firm that did a structural assessment of it, was amazed at how sound it is and the use of steel and concrete 104, 105 years ago. I'd like to specifically mention people who help support our many activities. Matt Presson, our facilities manager, Laura Schufert, our facilities coordinator, Russell Lawson, communications director, who's sitting right here in the front row, who falls, and that it also serves on our foundation commission. Tom Porterfield, our safety and security committee chair, who's sitting over here to my left. Britt Van Dusen. Britt, are you here? Don't see Britt. She's the Stewards of the Earth Committee chair. Bill Gregory, our Memorial Garden Committee chair. Bill, are you here? Nope. Don't see you. All of the members as well deserve credit of these committees, plus the Building and Grounds Committee and the Communications Committee members. And last but not least, our sextons. They are wonderful people that do so much for this church. And security guard as well, and making sure that we keep the wheels on in all of these functions that we have and the support of this church. They just do a great job. So thank you for your time. This has just been, for this past year, just an absolute honor and a privilege to serve. And I look forward to another year on the vestry. So any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Countless hours spent caring for our facilities, and my thanks to Matt and to Harry Moore for so closely looking at our finances and keeping us on the right track. Now it's time for our Senior Warden's report. Geoff Sisk.
Good morning. I will keep this short and sweet. And I encourage you to read my report that's kind of in the back of the annual report here. 5 years ago, I asked Randy to have lunch with me at Pearlie's. I figured we'd have a nice big fat man's lunch with Reuben sandwiches and lots of French fries and things like that, just to see how he was doing, and I never thought it would lead for me to be up here now.
Well, be careful with that.
But I encourage everyone to, if you get an opportunity to serve on the vestry, I would encourage you to accept. It's been a real privilege. It's been a privilege to be your senior warden as well. It's been a great year, and I think we're ending it on a fabulous note, as you've heard before. Lots of things going on. I think they're always, you hear about what's going on in the future and the building, and it's getting older and all of that. But I think with where we are today, we are one of the strongest parishes in the diocese, and all of the metrics prove out to that. The least of which being all of the work that's done by the doers that sit out here. It's really incredible. And when you're the senior warden, you get to see all of that firsthand, which is probably the most special thing of all. I want to thank all the vestry and all the work they've done, especially the outgoing class, which has been nothing short of fabulous, as is the rest of the vestry. I also want to thank all of the staff. What they do to keep this place running is, again, nothing short of a miracle, most especially Anita, who, you know, I mean, she de facto runs this place. So. And the clergy also does a fabulous job, and I would welcome, you know, Hillary is new to us this year, and she really has hit the ground running. Doing the search for her, when she walked in the room, it was sort of a no-brainer once she came into the room about she was the person. So we also, as Chip Woodson left us in the beginning of 2015, we did a long search for the stewardship, and you know, we looked far and wide, literally all over the East Coast, and lo and behold, the person that we chose was sitting right here all along. So, Suzanne, if you're here, thank you very much. Stand up. I feel, and everyone here should feel that with Suzanne here, that I know she's going to do a fabulous job with stewardship. So thank you very much. And to Bob Friend, also new clergy who joined us this year. Bob, thank you very much for being here and all of what you do. So thank you. That is it for me. I really appreciate all your support this year, and that is it. Thanks.
Geoff is rotating off the vestry this year, and so we have a little gift for you. You can open that later, but I hope it'll allow you to relax a little bit now that you're not having to sleep in your cot down at church all the time. Thank you, Geoff, for your leadership very much. Geoff Sisk, from the great senior warden. The ballots are in, and we have an election. We have an election. Thank you all very much for willing to serve. Now, my brief report. Geoff shared a lot of the things that I was going to talk about, but I do want to thank personally and individually our outgoing vestry members who have done some great work this past year. First, and I'm going to go through alphabetically here, I want to thank Knox Hubert, who was the chair of our worship ministries this year, and who works incredibly hard to make sure that we had everything we need and that all of that flowed smoothly, and did incredible work with our young adults ministry. That was one of Knox's gifts, and a great welcomer and supporter of Mary Beth Abplanalp as she came on board and was added to our staff. And Knox, I want to thank you so much for your 3 years. Gloria Pravat, sitting over here, Mrs. Hospitality herself, whose smile and generosity and love is the best face of this parish. And there was nary a reception or an event or a hospitality moment in this parish that Gloria was not somehow behind it. She was a great commission chair and on the executive committee, and she has the great spiritual gift of loving care, and we're going to miss you, Gloria. Stand up. Thank you so much. Bobby Ukrop, whose leadership is just amazing and who has always led by example within our parish, who was our service commission chair and also on the executive committee. Bobby was always, for her 3 years, championing our service, our call to serve others. And whether it was doing anything from Caritas to our Servant Sunday to visiting all the organizations that we support in the city of Richmond. Bobby's leadership was instrumental. She's also been on our strategic planning committee and has been phenomenal. We're going to miss her very much. Bobby, stand up back there. Thank you so much. Catherine West was the chair of our youth committee, and she's also been absolutely passionate as the chair of our missions program. She has, how many mission trips have you been on now, Catherine? 4 mission trips. And she has led us in so many wonderful ways in that direction. And our missions programs keep growing all the time. And I want to thank her so much for her service. And last but not least, only because her name begins with W, Norval Whitaker. Norval, are you here this morning? Ah, there she is. I want to thank Norval. She has also been incredibly supportive of Mary Beth Abplanalp and the growth of our youth program, which has been so focused on. She has done a great job with that and has been there to undergird Mary Beth in every single effort and be her cheerleader in front of the vestry and the parish. And for her work with our Children's Center, Norval has been our representative from the vestry on the Children's Center, which is thriving. I'm so proud of our Children's Center. Norval, thank you so much. Stand up back there. We're going to miss you. And I already said a little bit about Geoff, but I just want to take a moment to say, you know, for a rector, a senior warden is everything. Because, you know, who ministers to the minister, right? Where does the rector turn when he or she is freaking out? It's the senior warden. And so their ability to be this non-anxious presence and to be strong and stable in their leadership, and thank God to have a wonderful sense of humor. He has the best sense of humor. Geoff has been such a blessing. He was so innovative in our stewardship programs even before he became our senior warden, and then stayed with our annual giving programs even after he was senior warden. Literally, there was no other human being besides our staff members who spent any more time at the church this past year. And he has given a great gift of his time and love and effort to this parish. So one last time, let's thank Geoff. In the year ahead, we'll have the opportunity to put a new strategic plan into action. This is the 3rd plan that we have developed in my 15 years here at St. James's. And this plan is currently in its final stages of development. We're actually just wordsmithing it right now. And it will be rolled out this spring. The focus of the plan comes from what we heard from the parish, through our small group meetings and through our survey that went out to the entire parish. We met with hundreds of people and listened to all that you all had to say. The focus of our plan, to be very short about it, just to give you a little taste of it, will be on strengthening relationships. That's what we heard from you all in so many different ways, that we needed to strengthen relationships. We're going to be working on strengthening our relationships inside of our parish family, strengthening our relationship with our Lord Jesus Christ, and strengthening our relationships with the organizations and the places where we serve around the community and around the world. That those relationships are everything, and that all that we do depends on them. So that will be the focus of our strategic plan as we move forward. It is a detailed and ambitious plan, and I'm excited to get it underway, and you will see it in the coming months. My friends, we are a remarkably healthy community, but we live in a world where there is less and less appreciation for organized religion and its trappings. That's just a fact. So we have some challenges ahead of us, as do all churches in our culture today. You see, there are so many people out there who feel God's presence in their lives, and as a result, they consider themselves spiritual, but they have little content or structure to attach to what they know intuitively. They are spiritual, but not religious. But we have a wonderful story to tell. The story of God's loving purpose fulfilled in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And we need to be about telling that story. We need to be about telling that story to our children, to one another, so that we are transformed in the image of Christ, and most importantly, to the world. The time when Episcopalians could be polite and reticent in their faith and never mention it are over. Our faith deserves our best efforts to share it with the world. So that is something we will be about in the coming years. In closing, I just want to thank, because we're running out of time, I just want to thank our incredible staff that makes this place run. And I'm so glad that we've been able, in the back of our new chimes, to put the pictures of all of our staff members. I want to thank Becky Page for the incredible work she does with our children, for Mary Beth Abplanalp, who is right now on the mountain with 27 of our youth, and for her work with our young adults ministries, for Mark and Virginia Whitmire and Jean LaPierre for their incredible job with our music program, for Nancy Warman and her never, ever-ending passion to serve others, for Emily Thrower and Russell Lawson. You can see the gifts that they bring in you're looking at your Sunday chimes or in your quarterly newsletter or in your emails, God in your inbox, all of it, all of the communication they do so well. Laura Shuford and Matt Presson, who take on so much caring for our facilities and managing all the different groups who are here every day, all day long, during the week and on Sundays. Pekana Teal, who's been here over 40 years, and for the great job she does managing our finances and also as our wedding coordinator. And as Geoff mentioned, we're so glad to have Suzanne Hall and her passion for this place on our staff now as our Director of Stewardship and Development. And Gina Young and Anita Lisk for the fantastic job they do keeping this place running day in and day out. And last but not least, for the clergy team without whom I could not do anything around here, the clergy who keep me honest, who keep me growing, who are always challenging and thinking up new and wonderful things to do. I love them and couldn't serve without them. Carmen and Hillary, Caroline and Bob and Tom Blair. I want to thank them. Thank you for the continued honor of serving as your rector. I love this place, and it is a privilege and always has been a privilege for me to share in ministry with you and to walk through life's journeys of joys and struggles by your side. Thank you for letting me do that. To God goes the glory, and we got another service in 15 minutes, so y'all sit down. Thank you very much. Is there any other business? If not, then we stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you.